meeting to order. If we could rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, that'd be great.
Where are we going here?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so here we are. Another budget season is before us. So, Mr. Town Manager, if you'd like to kick us off with a Reader's Digest version of your
Yeah, let me
Budget
just, I wanted to make sure that, did any of you get the actual presentation, or you just get the whole budget?
I just looked for it and I didn't find it.
Yeah.
Because I know what happened was I sent everything and realized that the presentation wasn't in it, and they sent it separately, and I'm wondering if I didn't send it to the FinCom. So
Or
guess what?
if you send it separately, I might have missed it.
I don't have it in my folder.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if there was another different email.
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Okay, here it is. I don't have a group, so I'll have to do it. Do you want it to be right now, or do you?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Whatever's
fine either. I don't need it right now.
I have it, but I have to collect out all of your emails.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, hold on, let me just-
I have it. Okay, that's that big, yeah, it's a 25 meg file, right?
Yes, the one that he sent previously.
Yeah.
I don't. Mine says it's 11.2 MBs, and it has 80 files. This is when I shouldn't be sitting next to you because I can't speak that language.
Okay, I just sent it. It's gonna come to you guys as a link.
You sent it?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
do you see it?
It's gonna be painful for me to send it.
It'll come across, I got a 10-second
Is it
delay.
on the town website? Probably.
I think it was in the big, huge zip file.
I didn't see it there, but
Yeah, I did
it's
too.
buried.
You got it? Okay. All right, I'll tell you the abridged version. So I will skip all the process because you guys know the process. Basically, I go through revenues and expenditures. Let you know this, what the process it takes to get to town meeting. And once we get to town meeting, well, actually, this is the revenue side, so starting with new growth and the tax levy. New growth, we project new growth to be about $1 million. The last 5 years, the average has been 1.986. Last year was, FY '26 is 1.94. Year before that was 2.1. So we use a conservative estimate of about $1 million to make, because we're pretty sure we'll hit that number. Hopefully it'll be still in that same range of 1.9, but we'll see. Anyway, $1 million is what we're using for projected new growth. And then if you add that $1 million to the levy plus 2.5%, gives you $111 million. And then when you add the debt exemptions, it brings you up to about $122 million for a tax levy. And then the impact of $122 million in the tax levy is about $326. So that's where it is this year. The impact, last year we projected it, I think it was like 267 and ended up being around 287. So we're right in the right wheelhouse, right where we should be. A little higher this year, and I think that's driven primarily by some increases in health insurance and pensions are up high. So then we look at all the sources of revenue. It's $122 million for the levy, $19 million for local aid, $12 million for receipts, and I actually had a presentation with the enterprise receipts in there too, which is roughly the same, 18 and 16 million. But that's coming later anyway, but I did put it in there, so. This is the pie. I like looking at the pie chart. You can see obviously the biggest piece of the revenue is the levy, followed by local aid and then local receipts. So this shows you the tax levy, very steady, very predictable. The local aid, you can see it's level funded. We level funded it from last year, but it's actually going to go up about 400,000. So that's good because that gives us a little room. Because after I did the budget, I went to the MMA conference on Saturday, and the numbers came out. They're $400,000 higher in the governor's numbers, so I expect that they'll probably stay the same or go up from there based on past precedents with the House and the governor. So, so we're in good shape there. I think that's a pretty solid number for local aid. Local receipts, we are projecting $12.1 million in local receipts, and last year projection was 10.9 million, because that year hasn't ended yet, so it's still a projection. But if you look at the actual history, the last 3 years, 14, 15, and 16 million. So I would expect our receipts to fall in that neighborhood. But in order to make everything work, we were a little less conservative to make sure we balance the budget. And so we went from almost 11 million to 12 million in receipts, but we still have, I think, a cushion of about 4 million. So free cash will be, will still be probably a decent number. It might be tightened a little bit based on that, but we'll just have to see where receipts actually end up. Could be that receipts end up being higher, and that number doesn't change at all, so we'll see. And then if you look at the detail of how we projected that local receipts, just so you know that we're not all crazy or off the rails, you can look at motor vehicle excise taxes, projected to be 5 million. Last year it was 4.6, but the actual in the year before was 5.7, so you know that we're a little conservative there. Meals tax was 727, the actual was 900. Those are the big numbers. Then if you look at licenses and permits, 1.1 million, and we actually brought in 1.3. So everything is a little bit higher, a little bit lower than what we actually will bring in. So I feel pretty confident that the local receipts number is definitely conservative still, even though we bumped it up by $1 million. So then looking at free cash, obviously this is the same as the fall. Free cash was certified at something about $10 million, just over 10 million. And we had a little blip in 2024, it was outside that range by 0.19%. And that's basically due to the fact that they didn't issue debt service in that year. It wasn't issued until the following fiscal year started, so that impacted our free cash. And then 2024, you had a free cash of higher than what we had this year, was higher than 10 million. So then moving on to enterprise receipts, this is just shows you, these are the preliminary projections, but this is kind of what we're looking at, roughly 10 million in water, 7.4 million in sewer, and stormwater and telemedia are level funded right now, but I'll be working on those after this meeting. So this just basically says that the enterprise budget was preliminary estimates. And then the recap, we were projecting a recap of $575,000 surplus. If you look at last year's surplus, it was 324. And it's a little higher because I haven't put in the telemedia budget yet. Once I put the capital in for the telemedia budget, that number will probably drop by 100,000. That money will be for LF money, I believe. And so the recap looks good. We're on target where we've been in the past, projecting about $172 million in funds, $173 million in revenue. That number will go up in the fall when we start to use recap. So, and it'll be closer to that 183 number in the fall. But for now, everything's on track, revenue is solid. We're okay for FY27 from that perspective. Then the exercise of trying to determine if we're splitting 60-40 with new revenue. So we start off with a number of $3.6 million in available revenue after you had 2.5 in new growth. And then when you take out Essex Aggie and Shawsheen, there's only $3.2 million available. And then if you take 60% of that, you end up with 1.9 million. And then the schools take out their fixed expenses, and that leaves them 769 million for $1,000 for discretionary monies. And then on the town side, it's 40% of that, 3.2, so that's 1.2 million. And when you take out the fixed costs, we end up in the negative actually for that. So then when you add in when I move the numbers for receipts and everything else and able to balance the budget through the recap, the actual revenue split is 63 for the school. If I go here, you can see circled 63 for the school and 37 for the town. So it still meets that split that I think historically has been a concern for the school department. Then if you look at town and school resource allocation, it hasn't changed really. Town budget is 36, almost 37%, and school budget is about 50%. And then the drivers there are exempt debt for schools, exempt debt for town, and Shawsheen expenses and Essex Aggie. So that breaks out the general rough use of the allocation of resources by budget. And then by cost, oh, that's not the next one, it's this one. This is, just shows you the total budget is 151 million, a $5.6 million increase to the budget. And you can look at the school side, the town side has gone up roughly 2.2 million, and the school side's gone up about 3.2 million. And looking at general government, you can see the town and general government's gone up by 2.3 million. And what makes that number up? Actually, no, I'm sorry. This is without all the unclassifieds. So the general government actually went down by 62,000. So it shows you that general government really didn't change. Very static. Basically, reason for that is legacy costs in my budget were gone from the new assistant town manager to the old one. Reduction in town council by 25,000 based on history, and then reduction in computer services budget, and that, it's not really a reduction, but he had a capital project for 70,000 in the budget line item last year. He doesn't have that this year, so that reduced his line item. And then going over to just the finance department, this shows you that that budget went up about 40,000, mostly due to COLAs. And then community services, looking at that, that went down by, the veterans budget went down by 20,000, so we decreased veterans aid by 20,000 based on less veterans being served. And then council on aging went up by 18,000. That's basically COLAs, and same thing with planning development, that's basically COLAs as well. And then looking at the police budget, that's all COLAs. Police and fire both went up. They're the bigger budgets in the town, so the two of them combined is 17.5 million. And the COLAs went up 674,000 for those two. And then looking at the school budget, all in, it's about 91 million. And it's gone up by 3.5 million for all school costs, and that includes things beyond the school operating budget. School operating budget went up about 3.3 million, and then when you factor in Shawsheen and the reduction in school exempt interest, and it comes up to a total of 3.5 million. Public Works is going down by 307,000. 2 employees were moved out of the DPW highway department into water and sewer. That's why that reduction is in place. The increase is due to COLAs. And then solid waste budget went down by 257,000, mostly due to CPI, volume, and things like that. So that is a $307,000 decrease in total to Public Works. Unclassified, this is a big area of the budget. The total amount is 1.6 million. What's driving that $1.6 million change is 1,149,000 in insurance, and then 638,000 in retirement. So that's 1.7 million there, and that's really the whole number. Then you have a little bit of an increase in property and liability, 117,000. And some decreases in debt that offset that stuff, so the total change is 1.6 million in unclassifieds, and driven primarily by 2 issues: insurance and retirement. So then looking at the town budget again, now this includes the unclassifieds now, and you can see that 1.9 million number. And of that 1.9 million, 1.7 of that is really health insurance and retirement. And then the other 200,000 is just, looks like COLAs throughout the budget. Now this is the total town budget, not just general government, as I showed you a few slides earlier. So then if you're looking at town budget summary, this is the breakdown of where the resources are allocated. Public safety, 16% for police, 13% for fire, 12% for DPW. Unclassified, all the fixed costs, about 36%. And then exempt debt, 8%. And then all the other smaller service budgets are in there as well. But none of those really have changed. And then if you look at it from a cost breakdown, salaries are about 40% of the budget. Operating costs is about 16% of the budget. Retirement's a big piece, 17.8%. And health insurance is about 12% of the budget. So that gives you an idea of the types of costs that are driving the budget. And then, interestingly enough, if you look at health insurance for schools, it's 13.18%, not too different than where we were at the town side. But the retirement is 2.75%. And if you look back at the retirement and the school on the town side, it's 17.8%. So it's much bigger on the town side than it is on the school side, which is attributed to the age of the retiree. There's a lot of younger people working at the on the school side than on the town side. But salaries are 53%, almost 54%. Operating is 20%, and exempt debt's about 7.8%. There's no surprises there. And then I've kind of already gone through this a little bit. This is the detail of the cost changes. Talked about general government going down for the various reasons, finances, COLAs, and community services is that veterans aid account, council on aging is COLAs, facilities is COLAs, then library budget, same thing, COLAs. And DPW actually went down, like I said, that's because of the solid waste. Unclassifieds went up by 1.7 million because of the two big budget drivers, health and retirement. And then debt is retiring, it's gone down by about $170,000. So this is what I kind of just went through, so I'm not going to go through it in detail, just keep this short. But these are all the changes in the budget. And then the 5-year forecast is a little scary, but it's not always as accurate as it could be because it's so conservative. But so it projects this year, obviously, we don't have a deficit because we balanced the budget, which is great. Next year, it shows a projected deficit of 3.2 million, but to factor into this is that we're using $1 million each year for new growth, and new growth this year will probably be 1.9 or 1.5, and then next year, same thing. So there's $1 million that's not seen in there, so that number reduces to 2.2. And then receipts aren't really adjusted in that number either, so that closes that gap some more. I think at the end of the day, I think FY28 is probably not going to be a real problem, but when you start going out to 29 and 30, I think, yeah, we do have some issues to look at, and I think that, economic growth and new revenue is going to be more important in those years to help us get through those years. 'Cause, the expenses just keep going up. School costs are very high due to, all these things that never went away after COVID, special ed, transportation, mental health issues, all that stuff is still in the budgets, and that's where it went away, and so that's still driving up costs. And then healthcare has been a problem and continues to be, so those are the things we're watching. The only thing I added to things to monitor was financial impacts of the MBTA Communities Act on compliance, which the AG issued a decision the other day. We were one of the 9 dubious communities to be left that is being sued by the state for non-compliance. So I'm going to be meeting with the board next week to talk about next steps with that and see where we go. The big factor though is what impact is that going to have on grant money? So right now it's had impact on grants that we could have received, not impacts of grants that we already have. And mostly on the school side. But there are, we're missing opportunities because those grants don't exist. So that's a discussion that will have to take place at the select board meeting on the 10th. These are just financial policies that you know all too well. They're all being followed throughout this budget submission. And so I think we're in good shape there. And that's it for my presentation.
Okay, board members have any questions? No. I know. Rob, sound like you're about to speak.
I'm not, but thank you.
No, Evan had some questions that he sent out. Let's see. Local aid. Is the local aid expected to remain steady as federal funding from BIL and ARPA programs decline? I think you're saying you're expecting increases in local aid?
Yeah, $400,000 increase based on the governor's numbers from House 1. And usually they don't, the the House and the Senate, they don't like to knock that number down, they don't want to look like the bad guy, so I
Okay.
think that number will hold.
And then on excise tax, the forecast is $500,000 lower than actuals from the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's just conservative because you don't know what things are the
Bless you.
Bless you.
So we had now.
Yeah, so the excise tax is 5.07 million, and we actually received 5.7, so it's about $700,000 lower than what we received in '25. But, I mean, we just like, we basically.
So you're just being conservative estimate?
Yeah, conservative, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. You mentioned the 60-40 split. And you also mentioned it looks like a 63-37 split. Do you have any insight into, has it been 60-40 over the last 7 years, 8 years? Or can you drill down to that level? Or maybe some of my long-term compatriots here, have we wiggled over that line?
As long as I've been on the committee, it's been the guideline. I don't know, I don't know off the top of my head if we've hit it exactly, but that's been the guideline.
60/40 has always been the guideline.
Yeah, so my understanding is, so that original worksheet here that Richard always did was to show that the schools were gonna get at least 60% of the available revenue. So that number's 769. So obviously they got that because they get a lot more than that. But then, you know, when you look at the final, when the budget is, you know, finalized, and look at it again, they're at 63, so they're getting a little bit more than 60%. Their budget is increasing a little bit more than 66.
When you have a chance, could you just look back the
Okay.
past 5 or 6 years, or 7 years, like would you, your other,
History of 60/40, right?
yeah. What's it been? I know it's a guideline, but just want to see how it's split. I think that's all of the questions. Oh, Evan also had a question on growth. That's, we're being conservative on, which is great. And that's the main reason that you're not higher, right?
Yeah, so we wanna make sure that we have room if there's if there's some kind of problem, right? So.
Yeah,
I think we have room in receipts. I think we have room in new growth. And I think we have even a little bit of room in local aid. So I'm very confident that the revenue side that we projected is solid.
Okay.
We're gonna hit that number.
okay,
But we try to be conservative, so that's always the case.
all right, thank you. That's all that Evan had for that part. And, okay, so I guess we can move into the individual.
Actually, I have one more question. So you said, you know, that future outlook doesn't look great. Obviously, expenditures are running at a higher percent over the years compared to the revenue increase. So what are some strategies to mitigate that?
Well, economic growth is one, you know, if you can get revenue in town and more growth, that will help, that will, exceed. Because right now, we're projecting 1 million each year. If that number is, we know it's gonna be higher than that, but if that number's even higher than that, that will help tremendously.
Yeah.
The other thing, the other place to go is to cuts, make cuts, I don't think we're quite there yet. I mean, I think over the next 2 years, we're gonna see where that economic growth is going. That battery facility lands, that's $2 million on top of the levy right there. That would solve a lot of problems, but, a lot of people don't want that, but it's, that is a fact, so. But there are other things that are coming online, the hotel, a couple of things on 38 that are coming online. But I'm a little worried about, the growth, because it's just not as good as it was. Things seem so uncertain that there's not as much commercial development, and our research and development will come back, but it's not back yet. Commercial office space will probably never come back, so that's out. But, so we should be looking at developing research and development in life sciences, because that, I think, is where it is. Advanced manufacturing is also life science, advanced manufacturing. Been doing a lot of those M3 things, and that's really what a lot of people are looking at. That market hasn't come back yet. I mean, everybody thinks it will come back, but it's not back yet, so we're not seeing it. And some of that market is startups, so if those startups come back, you have to be able to be an attractive place, like Innovation Drive. That's an area where you could do stuff like that. But the easier we make it for those companies to come here, the more chance we have for growth. So
Okay.
that's the least painful way, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right, thank you.
Okay, so we wanted to start off with the
Library?
library.
All right.
I'm gonna, just these are for you.
Okay.
Yeah, at the same time. They are two different documents, but.
Yeah.
Need that one too.
Yeah. Thank you.
And then,
Excuse me.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you, I'm sorry. I will send these electronically as well.
do you want the extras back?
No, that's fine. Hand them out to your friend.
So just high level, this budget. The primary driver, as I said earlier, is the COLA was 62,000. This budget went up by 5.22% in personnel. And again, that's driven primarily by COLAs. This is a fairly good size budget in terms of personnel. I mean, how many employees do you have?
We have 19
19 employees.
FTEs, yeah.
So, so that's kind of why that number is larger than you see in some other budgets. But if you look at how much each salary went up, looks like they went up between, roughly 2.5%, 2.6%. Most of them, some went up more. Those are the people that went up steps. And then if you look at description detail, looks like an $8,000 increase in book subscriptions, which I think that's kind of formula driven, right?
That is definitely formula driven, yeah. So
Yeah,
depending on what the bottom line is at any point, it needs to be 13% of the total non-book subscription budget. So salaries and everything but books. Can't include books because that would be wrong in that. So, yeah, there isn't a tremendous amount that has changed. A lot of the changes are just, as John said, contractual. Let me get to the interesting budgets, past all the personnel stuff. Oh. There, oh, perfect, okay. So, I thank John for updating the energy utilities budgets, the estimates, because I appreciate that, so that they're better in line with what we'll actually see. Repairs and maintenance is roughly the same. We do have a few things that are once every 2 years or once every 3 years, and you'll see those carpet washing, well, that's supposed to be annual, but in reality, that doesn't happen. And window washing, again, is annual, but that doesn't happen either. So, we try to get it in there. This budget is chronically underfunded, as you know. We spend far more on HVAC repairs and parts and labor than we do on anything else. But it is hard to budget for that. There's just no way to really accurately budget because I don't know when both furnaces are going to stop again on a snow day when we're not there and the building's freezing. So, it's just that kind of thing. So, and you know that. Network membership. So I handed you, I'm sorry, I'm going to just steal this for 1 second. So this letter from the from the Merrimack Valley Library Consortium with the value of service membership. Those of you who've been on the committee know that for years I was stating that we were not funding membership properly from MPLC. And now we are. I'm so excited, even though it means a lot more money for me. Our increase is hefty, but it is it's in line with other budgets. What we will need to spend on membership is $59,146, and then there's a separate assessment for e-content that we pay, and it's about $16,000 something. So that's why that large number of what we pay. And those are just things that we're assessed for. We also pay for some databases through MVLC and, things like that, but they're not included in this budget. They're included in the collection budget. So communications is normal. We have, there's really not anything that's worrisome to look at. Speaking of things that we can't get because of the the communities, we are unable to apply for, oh my goodness, Wi-Fi, mobile Wi-Fi devices through a few grants that are out there right now because we don't meet that requirement, that standard. And we cannot also apply for any other technology grant that comes through the state, which has been where our grants have come from. So we are applying and then, of course, being denied, and that's okay. We just want a record. So that's going on. Office supplies is completely level. And technology is another area where we do end up being underfunded, but that is really because of the difference and okay, my brain hurts when I think about technology and what it does, and so that is not my forte, but it costs a lot of money. And, everything from just cyber security to firewalls and just making sure everything is up to date, keeping all of our PCs up to date. So I know you're aware of all of that, but that is also an area where, like from repairs and maintenance, I spend a good chunk of our state aid to public libraries every year. And the collection, does that say collection? Yep, books and subscriptions, sorry. That is, right now it is 13% of that budget, and the calculation is to the right in blue, so you can see that. I always list what e-content costs from MVLC, but we do not fund it through the town budget. I pay for that out of state aid as well. And that is, e-content is Libby and the downloadable audiobooks and ebooks that people can borrow throughout the consortium. And borrowing is high. This past month throughout the consortium, so that's 35 libraries, I think it was 129,000 items plus were borrowed in that month. It's a lot. I mean, it's good. I'm glad people are reading, yay. That's what I want. And then dues and memberships and staff development remain the same. I don't know why the Mass Library Association and NELA do not increase their fees. Well, I do know why, because no one has any money. But it has been good for us. So that means I can pay professional membership for my staff that need it. I don't have any capital outlay at this point. I don't anticipate having any. So that is, I think that's it. I would be more than happy to answer any questions. And I submitted the letter from MVLC, but I know you already understand the concept of, what MVLC was doing as a policy. Of using, they have it, they call it capital funds, but it's basically free cash. And I have argued long and hard for that to stop, and I was so happy when it did this year, and I got to vote, yes, stop this. Now, yes, it cost me more, and I'm sorry, but it is a much more accurate representation of what we pay and what we get from MVLC in services back. So, and sorry, what the heck is that thing called? Oh, the year in review. Sorry. I used to do all of the paperwork for this, and I don't now, so I don't know what anything is anymore. So the year in review, almost everything went up, but not as much as it's been going up in the past couple of years, but that's okay. Because sometimes we're tired and we're happy to just meet people's needs. The use, printing, faxing, and scanning is a huge service for patrons. And we're happy to be able to provide it in a tremendously stable way now. So that is also part of why we're spending more money on technology. But it is rarely down. Our technology is actually rarely down at all now. So I really appreciate that. And that means that people can depend on being able to access those services when they come into the library. So I will be happy to answer any questions. I will be happy to have John correct anything I said. That was, so.
Board members?
The mobile Wi-Fi device grants.
Yes.
and You said other technology grants. You still apply and you get denied.
Yes, yeah, I mean, we fill the application, but when we hit no, we get a, when we have to say, no, we're not participating.
If you had to approximate the number of grants that has occurred, could you tell us how many that has been?
Well, I know that there's been a grant recently for mobile Wi-Fi devices, and there's been a grant for PCs, but I don't have those figures with me, but I'm happy to get them for you.
That would be great.
Yeah, write that down.
And I'm assuming that program is if a patron needed
Yes.
to borrow a
Yes.
device or needed to borrow Wi-Fi, for lack of a better.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and we haven't started a program like that because we can't afford it at this point. But let me see.
Could you put a dollar value on that too?
Oh, that was exactly what I was going to do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. PCs.
And then I guess the other question just is the HVAC repairs.
Yep.
I know it's unpredictable and it's a big part of your budget. Is there any, I don't know if this is a question for you or for John, is there any kind of long-term capital plan to fix the system so that it doesn't continue to be this issue? Or is it just we keep reviving it till it dies?
I'd have to talk to Vinnie, I'm not familiar
Yeah.
with what is going on with your HVAC program.
I don't understand it either, but switches go off and things
20
don't.
years old,
Yeah,
right?
it's 20, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It went in 98, so yes.
So-
It's 20 years old but I can't even imagine what the cost would be to replace. I mean, I feel like at one point we had a whole new system from all the repairs that had been made, and yet it still,
Yeah, and like even
Fails.
this building,
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
spent a ton of money on HVAC.
Yeah.
This building's not that old.
I think it's a thing with HVAC companies to keep them employed.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
But, I mean, the short answer is like we've been using, I think we're coming down for a FinCom transfer, for a unreserved fund transfer for, I think it's a HVAC expense.
Yeah.
But I'll talk to Vinnie about, it's funny, I know that the town hall's a problem with HVAC. Last year we had some problems with COA. That was, I think, mostly boilers. And then DPW, the new DPW, they're trying to work the kinks out of this. That's still under warranty and everything, but nonetheless, they're still having trouble with it. So, it's like a universal problem with HVAC.
It is. It is. There's not one other librarian I talk to that's not having the same issues.
So why did the budget, why is the budget in energy utilities lower than past 5-6 years? We've been in the 80,000, 83, 87, 87, 87, 87. This year, 79.
Yeah, well, that does, those reflect what we expended. And yeah, where am I looking at? Energy, nope. Repairs and maintenance. So energy utilities is just straight payments to National Grid and Town of Chelmsford, Direct Energy. The repairs and maintenance is where we have gone over every year. And there's part of me that does not want to overestimate, because then we have years when the only thing that needs to be done is preventive maintenance. But I don't see that we're going to have fewer problems in the coming years. And our custodian with Vinnie have been diligent about keeping the system running and monitored. We do have electronic monitoring of it as well. So there are some things where it's like, don't know why that switch won't work anymore, so we have to call somebody in. Then they have to tell us if they know. So it's just that, I think that's one of those parts of the budget that's difficult to plan for.
Is it fair to say that, I mean, it's over half of the the repairs and maintenance budget, the HVAC. Is that fair to say it's been over half of it historically as well, or is?
I would say it's been, yeah, it's been between, I would say around 20,000 a year, roughly. Overall, the whole system, certain pieces stay fine and certain pieces don't. And part of that, well, the budgeted part is preventive maintenance, those kinds of annual inspections of things. But yeah, it's the things that we don't anticipate.
But you mentioned early on that you don't know if you're closed on Saturday and Sunday, you don't know when if you come in on Monday, it's going to be 100 degrees in there or 40.
Well, yeah.
Is that due to remotely, do we do remote monitoring of the systems?
No.
Is
Sorry, I
there a
answered
way-
that, John. No, we do not. And the reason we knew that the furnaces, we have two of them, were not running on the 26th was because Vinny went by on the 25th and saw steam or whatever coming out of the chimney, and he went by that Monday during the snow day, and there was none. So we got him into the building, and we called our vendor, and they got, he was able to get one furnace reset, but the other one wouldn't reset, so we had to call them in. And, we know in these cold snaps, we leave all the doors open. We don't turn down the heat at night. We rarely do that anyway, because it takes so much energy to pull it back to the correct temperature. So it's warm in the building in general. And we've only had one sprinkler freeze, and that's in the back emergency exit. And that was a few years ago. So but it's just this stops working and this part of the library goes without air conditioning for a few hours or without heat.
I know Vinny works magic.
He works very hard, and he has a lot of buildings
Yep, he does.
that have similar problems. So, yeah. I do
John,
appreciate what he does.
do we remotely monitor any other buildings? Any of our
We
buildings?
do, and I think the DPW was built that way,
Yeah.
and this one, I don't know if it's remotely monitored, but, everything's it's supposed to go down at night,
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'll get you an answer from Vinny about how we monitor the HVAC.
Yeah. We have, we have a computer system that runs the HVAC, runs it, and that's monitored. But in terms of, I'm thinking, do we have, and I haven't checked with my custodian yet, do we have cold, like alarms? Do we have cold, like down in the basement when both furnaces go? And, what kind of very simple things could we do to get ahead of something like that if it were to happen again, if Vinny wasn't driving around checking on the buildings? Because I wasn't driving around, I couldn't get out of my driveway that day, so I would not have seen it. We would have gone in on Tuesday and had problems.
In your library priority memo, budget request, you talked about hiring a part-time garden manager. Was that included in this?
Nowhere in that, no. That is just something we're working on. It would be wonderful if we could find a volunteer as dedicated as the volunteer who has left. And that's why we're thinking about what do we need to do to have someone oversee the garden in a way that is useful to us. And I just said, we need someone for 15 hours a week but my assistant director is like, well, you probably need them for 5. I'm like, okay, fine, we'll do 5. So it's just, I don't garden.
Isn't there a garden club?
There is, but they do not, this is the community garden, the Tewksbury Library Community Garden. So it is half half individual plots that people can apply for. You must have a library card and be a resident of Tewksbury. And in order to have your plot, you also need to volunteer in the community portion where we grow potatoes and carrots and things like that, that are higher yield things for the food pantry that the food pantry could use. And then the garden managers, the people who are willing to help, will sell any extra at the community markets all summer. And so we bring in, but we're not bringing in a ton of money, because we're giving away a bunch of it, but that was the design of that project. The the garden club maintains our gorgeous beds in the front and the planters and things like that. They couldn't take over anything like this because we're all dealing with finding volunteers who are willing to give the time. So no, that is not there.
Have we looked at Essex Aggie, if they have any personnel that they could
We have not?
offer up? I know they have those types of programs there.
Yeah.
Maybe someone could, pick up some class credit or
Yeah.
whatever.
Check on that.
So you personnel-wise, you've been at 19 now for,
Since, at least since 2019, 2018, we got our certification back. We were back to funding the way, we got back what we had been cut. And that allowed me to have an assistant director who is worth her weight in gold. And Pages, again, we are open on Sundays because we need to be open 59 hours a week to meet our certification of hours open. And that is one way that patrons like that we can do that, is add those 4 hours to the week. But we do include, we're open Monday through Sunday, most of the time except the summer. We close weekends in the summer. So. And we run very short staffing on a Sunday afternoon. There's 4 people in the building.
in the printing, faxing, scanning, that's well utilized, which is great.
Yeah, every
I can't
day.
believe people still use
There's
fax
something.
machines.
You know what? Lawyers and doctors
Lawyers and
force them to. And yeah, and nobody who has faxes around. And we didn't until we, had this service that we have now. So.
And so, do we recoup the,
There is a charge, there is a charge, and we use it to purchase more paper, purchase toner if we need it.
okay, so.
Yeah, it doesn't completely cover it, but it helps a lot. And we do charge for printing 15 cents a page, and then 50 cents for color.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Toner is way expensive now. It's incredibly expensive. I don't want to print in anything but black and white right now.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your questions.
Keep up the good work.
Diane?
Thank you. You're very welcome. We will get all those answers to you.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. For the record, Alex Louder with the Planning and Conservation budget this evening. Off the top, just want to call out a couple of Scrivener errors in my memo. I had incorrectly put 2024 in the header date and in the third paragraph, but the date is all correct. Overall, this is a relatively unexciting budget. Level service and all of the regular salary increases are all due to cost of living increases and the associated step increases for all of the employees, myself, the conservation agent, and our administrative assistant. You'll see a shift that the overtime was removed. That is because mid-fiscal year, we had our recording secretary for the Conservation Commission leave the town. She was a full-time employee in another department and earned overtime for our recording secretary needs, and she has transitioned to a contract employee, which is one of the increases in the professional services budget. So that's the high level of the salaries. One note that was brought to my attention for the elected official salaries, you'll note that there is a $1,250 deficit in spending versus budget, and I found that that was due to one of our elected officials on the planning board being misclassified as a regular employee, so I'm working to get that corrected. He was absolutely paid, but it was just coded to the wrong account. Moving through the other line items, for the leases and contracts, all that stuff is still the same, nothing exciting there. Again, professional services did increase to include the recording secretary services, and there was an increase to the sealer of weights and measures. So previously, the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, NIMCOG, our regional planning agency, was providing that service for all of the 9 cities and towns included there, and the gentleman retired, and they were unable to backfill and didn't really have the ability to continue to support that regional service. So all the communities were left to figure it out. And the way Tewksbury figured it out was we entered into an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Chelmsford to share a single sealer of weights and measures. Chelmsford carries all of the benefits and the task of, managing all of his retirement and all that stuff, but the town contributes $30,000 towards that, and we in turn receive our sealer of weights and measures. And moving on to advertising, again, that's pretty steady. That is primarily used for the legal advertising for when zoning articles appear in the newspaper for town meeting. There weren't any the last time around, so that kind of fluctuates. And of course, because it's a newspaper ad, it also fluctuates with the amount of language that's included. So if it's a particularly long article like we had last May, a little more expensive. This also sometimes includes postings for annual meetings for the Community Preservation Committee and any other legal ads we have to place for public hearings. Communications, again, pretty simple here. The postage and mailing fees are what we use to fund all the postage meter for all 3 sub-departments within community development. So that includes planning, conservation, building, and health. There are certain statutory requirements that make it so all of the conservation agents' correspondence related to enforcement and permit issuance have to be sent certified mail, and certified mail return receipt is north of $10 per piece these days. So we try to have folks pick up their permits whenever they can, but sometimes mailing's unavoidable. But I'd say the bulk majority of the postage comes from myself using it for planning notices and the administrative assistant using it for zoning board of appeals statutory notices. We have to send notice out when the public hearings are scheduled, and then we have to send notice again when the decisions have been filed with the town clerk. So that's, at this point, I believe 61 cents in, 61 cents out on either side of a public hearing. And if anybody really likes to watch planning board meetings or zoning board of appeals meetings, you probably heard that we asked our boards to increase their filing fees accordingly, because those were set back in 2021 when the postcards for mailing were 36 cents per unit. And, well, it's not that anymore. Moving on to office supplies, again, that's pretty steady. That has increased, the use of the office supply budget has increased in past years, primarily due to the rising costs of the items that we use for the mailings, the Avery postcards that we use and the labels that we use to create all the mailings has increased. I probably said it when I was talking to the planning board a couple of times over in the last few years. And so it's perfectly serviceable at this point, but we do use almost every bit of that budget because of the fluctuation in the number of abutters per mailing, how many mailings we're doing, and then, of course, the cost of the supplies actually increasing themselves. Nothing going on in computer equipment. Dues and memberships, so you'll see that we haven't really expended anything in the last couple of years. However, that was primarily due to shared memberships between myself and the previous assistant town manager, who, and his role as community development director in prior years, prior to, the budget summary here, he had been carrying the dues and memberships in the community development budget because he was the director, he was coming out of that budget. But then when he moved into the assistant town manager dual role, the town manager's budget took ownership of those dues and memberships. And we were very fortunate that the American Planning Association and other groups were not charging each of us for individual memberships. So he was paying it and I received the benefit of participating in conferences, seminars without having to do an additional individual benefit. However, with his departure, I anticipate that I will be picking those back up. So we'll likely see that being used again. Staff development, between myself and the conservation agent, we try to go to as many of these as we can, and we offer these trainings to our associated board members, and they're welcome to participate if they like. I don't think there's anything else particularly of note. I had submitted to the manager's office ahead of it my fun little graphic every year that I did not print this time about. I apologize. Nothing really jumping out at us too much. Zoning Board of Appeals applications have stayed steady, so have Conservation Commission. You'll see a decrease in the larger site plan review applications with the Planning Board, but that's been made up on the other end with minor site plan reviews. And as a result of several of the successful articles at town meeting last May, making a handful of uses by right in the Office Research and Industrial District, it's requiring less filings with the planning board, which ultimately is good for business. So, we love to have folks come to the planning board and tell us about what they're going to do and how they're going to join the Tewksbury business community. However, that creates a level of unpredictability when it comes to discretionary permits, no matter how good a board is. A lot of banks and lawyers who are facilitating real estate transactions don't like to see a lot of uncertainty. So that is instead creating opportunities for folks like Sterling Life Sciences at 159 Lorem Street. They had their ribbon cutting back in September. They were a great case study because they came in November of 2024 for a special permit for a cold storage warehouse facility, and they've already started going really hitting the ground running in the pharmaceutical industry and providing cold storage space for pharmaceutical items, for other life science items. And because that was so successful and they were willing to trust us to go through the special permitting process, now that's kind of setting the table for anybody else who wants to come in behind. They just need a building permit. And I am happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Board member?
It's very straightforward.
Yeah.
You didn't have a complicated budget.
No, I overcomplicated just for you guys.
How are we doing on any ADU applications?
So they're starting to trickle in. The state has been sending periodic surveys to all the municipalities. I think they typically have about 67% compliance and responses. When they first sent out the survey I think they sent it out in the fall. So the law passed in August of 2024. However, the accessory dwelling unit portion of the law did not go into effect. Actually, I think today might be the anniversary of it, until February 2nd or 3rd of 2025, because that gave 6 months for the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities to promulgate regulations to kind of lay out the whole process. And that first check-in that they had with us, we did not have any applications, and I think at this point we may have 3 or 4. So while the permitting barriers have come down, it is still incredibly expensive to build, period, particularly with the energy codes getting stricter and requiring a lot of electric ready. So it's not that you can't install gas, but everything has to be electric ready in the event that, gas goes away. So the costs, I think, are still a significant barrier. We're still seeing family suites come through like relatively as steady as they have been the last couple of years, but those are required for converting, for additions to homes, and they weren't always requiring the HERS check and the other energy checks and other compliance components because of the building code, but the ADUs are treated as brand-new structures no matter what, so that adds a lot of, sounds like compliance headaches and costs to folks who want to build them. So they're not like rushing in, but they're trickling in.
Okay, so I'm gonna touch the third rail here. This whole MBTA communities things. We decreased the town council's budget, yet we get sued today or yesterday or whatever. But you still have, we still have the plan, right? Those still exist. But the town chose not to move forward with it. We're going to incur, it looks like we're going to incur more legal costs.
So how much legal costs are we going to incur? I don't know yet, because I have to meet with the board, the select board. But the schedule is kind of expedited. I would expect that Kevin Feely believes that by June, everything would be through the court, because it's basically already been decided at the Supreme Court. I mean, there really isn't much left. So will we incur some legal costs? Yes, but do I think we'll incur a tremendous amount? We don't plan on hiring special counsel. So I think that Kevin can represent the town through this issue. And, I did reduce the budget, but it's still not as much. I mean, I don't have when we go over it, we'll look at it, but I still think there's some room in that budget if we have extra costs,
Okay. And you mentioned the cold storage down that's the one down by the railroad tracks, right? On Lorem.
Not all the way in the back. So if you take the turn off of Main Street next to Schlott Tire, they're the first left. It's that big warehouse right on the corner.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So there's still a lot of space available there?
I haven't spoken to them recently. I did go for a tour towards the end of last year, and they were starting to get clients and start filling up, because this is actually their first foray into cold storage, into the life sciences industry. So again, this is another exercise in trust. They trusted Tewksbury to help them grow their business in this new industry. And I saw the other day that the president, Dan Markow, has joined the Mass Hires Board. He's on the Middlesex Board, and he's really trying to bring this area into the life sciences industry and start at our higher education levels.
And down on Innovation Drive with the Raytheon has a couple of the buildings, and I think the planning board did something with the buildings down at the end.
Yes. So 836 North Street, or Innovation Drive, was originally devised as a subdivision plan way back when. And when the road known as Innovation Drive was built out, it did not match the original subdivision plan. So what they wanted to do is the owners were putting it up for sale. They had historically high vacancy rates, trying to pivot into other industries other than office space, as the town manager indicated, because that really is not an industry that's coming back. So the folks that were interested in becoming financial partners in the property hired counsel, and they appeared in front of the planning board to re-subdivide the parcel, and which included subdividing the existing 750,000 square foot facility and realigning the right-of-way. So what they had indicated is nobody's really looking for the size facility that is currently sitting at 836 North Street. So based on their market research, they decided that subdividing the building would be the best chance to give other companies opportunities to have complete control and ownership over individual sections of their building. They discussed putting up party walls where the freight elevator is, and this was discussed at length with the deputy fire chief and the building commissioner from a compliance and a how do you get there perspective. And my understanding is that they do have a couple of folks seriously interested in occupying the space, and we're hoping to see that come to fruition in the next couple of months.
Cool. Okay.
Cool.
I've got nothing else. You're right, your budget is pretty vanilla.
That's okay.
Thank you.
You guys.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work.
Let me come up with you.
Yeah, but, did he come, no?
You can go check our office, but I imagine she would be in here.
Yeah,
Thank you, Alex.
okay. All right, so Denise is not here, so. I can go through most of these other budgets myself though, because they're kind of my budget, so. Do you want to start with the parking park budget?
Sure. Just let me get there. Look.
While John pulls that up, I'll just introduce myself.
I'm sorry, yeah.
No worries. My name's Robert Maynard. I'm the new assistant town manager here in town. It's nice to meet all of you and be here.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
You
Thank
guys want to go around and introduce yourself so he knows who everybody is and?
Please. Just names. Yeah.
Rob Kosmersky.
Nice to meet you.
Dave Asnavorian.
Nice to meet you.
Joe Marie Buckley.
Nice to meet you.
Rich Lavasser.
Lindsay Dunley Johnstone.
Nice to meet you.
And Kathy Lavasser.
Okay. Thank you all.
But she's not here. But you're not here.
Big minute you're one.
Okay, so,
This one looks pretty familiar.
Yeah, I'll just do the parking clerk budget. That's actually gonna end up, I'm thinking of Ace, you know. So that budget is $5,200. It, level funded from salary perspective and level funded from operating perspective, so it hasn't changed. And it's like we basically spend all of the salary piece of it, and operating, we've spent
Small portion.
small portion.
yeah, not much there.
Yeah. And basically registrars is the same.
Yeah. You can do that one too if you like.
Go for it. Nothing's changed.
All right, registrars, let me open that one. Whoops.
Yep.
Okay, very exciting budget. We get 2,850 for temporary part-time, and that's not changing. And the operating budget is the same as well. Looks like we pretty much spend most of that. Actually, yeah, well, not all of it, but a good portion of it. But that's the same level funded.
No questions.
No.
No questions.
All right.
Are you gonna do elections?
Yeah.
The outdoor
Yes.
election, sure.
I mean, that's the only thing that really has a difference, and I'm assuming that's because we have more elections.
It is, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, let me just open that up, and I think it's in the notes. So that budget has gone up, it's gone up, ooh. 80,000. And that is because there are more elections, looks like there are going to be, so last year we had 3 elections. We had the annual town meeting, April 11th, the annual town election, and October 7th with special town meeting. And then for this year, we have the annual and special in May, annual town election in April, state election in November, and then October, we have the special town meeting, and then September 1st, the state primary. So quite a bit more activity
Yeah.
this year in elections, and it's all calculated out there below.
You can kind of see the pattern in the previous years.
Yeah,
We would do.
yeah. So, pretty self-explanatory. So repairs and maintenance is also gone up, and I'm pretty sure that's driven by the elections as well.
The
Programming
machines.
and the machines.
Yep.
Goes up from 13,000 from 6,000. So, Robert used to work in the clerk's office in Maynard.
Oh.
He
So he's
did.
very well versed in that.
What goes on in a
Yes.
clerk's office, yes.
And then I poached him from Stowe by way of Bill Rickon.
Very nice.
So I don't know if you have any other questions on that one, that one's
No, that's really straightforward.
okay. Um,
Just the big
Want me to
one.
do the town first budget too?
Might as well.
Yeah, sure.
I bet that one's pretty. That's pretty probably easier than the elections. Okay, so updates. Here we are. So that one went up 14,000 in the personnel side. 4.57% driven by COLAs. Sick leave buyback changed by $62. And then there's an increase to leases, professional services by 7,000.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can figure out what that is. Okay, voter confirmation postcard census, okay. It's because of the census, right? She's
Yes.
implementing some more, trying to be, getting voter confirmation postcards done. So she increased that line item by $6,000. And then, looks like she increased annual town census mailing by $1,000, so that's a total 7,000. So that's driven by the census. And as I said about personnel, looks like most of that is just
Contractual, yeah.
3.58%. Okay.
Any questions?
No, that's really predictable.
Yeah, I just have one. So there was a couple of, and the unfunded or priorities were a couple of like salary increases or step or whatever. And I noticed a few of the departments have put that in. Are you holding off on all of those for now?
So where are you looking now? Unfunded.
You're looking at the memo, right?
Yeah,
Oh, you looked at the
Denise's
memo?
memo,
Yeah.
yeah, so she has like a priority list of things that she would like to.
Yeah.
But I noticed a theme.
Yeah.
As I looked through a bunch of the memos, is, step increases and, we want to retain good employees, right? And be competitive.
Yeah, so basically when we put the budget together, well, two things. One is some of these are contract union negotiated, so it's not that easy, so you put the request in, but you have to deal with the unions too.
Yep.
So I haven't done those, but I probably won't rule them out in the, by the end of this year through either a budget amendment to take care of it this year
Okay.
and then do it again. But larger issue, as you probably know, Al Rigo is leaving.
Yep.
And that's primarily driven by the difference in competitive salary over in Bedford, even $70,000 bump. So I have to re-advertise that job, and I'm gonna have to bump it up quite a bit. And then I have to look at some of these higher senior positions, and, because the police chief's being advertised in Bedford too, at a much higher rate than ours chief is being paid. So I have to look at those two jobs as well, so I think you gotta see something to adjust those. And there are a few employees in here that I do need to address. I'm gonna try to do it in the budget amendment. And then I would do them again in the fall. But some of these are so small that it's not worth screwing around with the budget. But I do have to address it, especially some of those senior level employees. But retention is an issue because, frankly, you know, they can get paid to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I tried to get out of state because I know historically that you're better off paying the good qualified person more money than going out and hire someone who doesn't have the institutional knowledge and paying them more money. One way or another, you're gonna pay more money, but
Yeah.
couldn't get out of state. I tried, but
I'm gonna call
But,
him, I told him he can't go.
so, yeah, I just wanted to give you brought up a good point, but it's bigger than just that level too. So I gotta look at all those positions and think about what adjustments need to be made so that we can hold on to
Yeah.
good employees. Because that's one thing I really enjoyed walking into was there are some really good employees here. But a lot of them do, you know, they do a lot more work than just their own jobs, like Dave Libby, who's retiring in a year and a half, I think. You know, he's doing like 2 jobs over there, so.
Yeah, okay.
So is that something, those senior level positions, are you looking at moving fast and bumping them?
Yes. So, but between now and the end of the fiscal year, and so by June 30th. So, but I'm not looking to amend the next year's budget, like, in this cycle. I'd rather do it.
You wouldn't have to, right? You could do that at fall town meeting.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I'd rather do it then.
I agree.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
great.
And as long as they know it's coming,
Right.
right? They,
Yeah.
hopefully they will
And in the
stay.
scheme of things, it's not like a huge amount of money
I
when
wouldn't
you look
think
at the whole
so.
budget.
Yeah,
But I don't wanna make it,
Getting a few key people a little extra money is not gonna,
yeah,
you know.
it will help us in the long run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
no.
You don't want the institutional knowledge to all of a sudden be gone.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's
a good
a great
strategy.
question.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I always read those too.
Any other questions?
Nope.
No?
Okay,
Alrighty.
all right, now we're on to
Building.
building department.
There it is.
Okay, so this budget, I think, is pretty. It's going at $16,000 to 4.5% on salaries,
That's all COLA.
all COLA, except for the $30 in sick leave buyback. And nothing on operating, everything's the same.
Yeah.
I think there's some longevity, it's, it looks like there's 3 categories: temporary part-time went up, permanent part-time went up, and regular salaries went up. So I'm just looking temporary,
Board of Health is the same,
yeah,
just COLAs.
Yeah,
When I was going through these, you know.
yeah.
all right. All right, any questions on the building department?
No.
I think Evan had one on the building department.
All right, I can do the Board of Health as well.
And on the building department?
Yeah,
Let's see. IRS business mileage rate is .725. We, looks like we calculated at .67.
you looking at
Per
travel?
mile. just on, let's see,
What line item, didn't he?
line item, yeah. Let's see. No, it's not,
yeah.
based on the memo.
Yeah, I was looking at the memo, it was this number one priority.
Yeah. In his memo, increase the plumbing and electrical inspector's car allowance to the Massachusetts state mileage, 0.67 cents per mile. They average,
Okay. Yeah, so we increased what? So
they haven't had an increase in over 15 years. So he's wanting to increase to the state level of 0.67.
0.72.
And the 2026 IRS standard business mileage rate is 0.725.
It's 725, and that's under, is that in the detail budget, in the travel?
I'm pretty sure it's the car allowance, which we
Is
did.
that in the personnel?
Yeah. So-
Okay, yeah.
So if you, I remember increasing those.
Okay, everything's there. You see what we got here? So in the memo, what he's talk about, is he talk about the inspectors, the, I don't have the memo up, but,
I have it right here. Hold on. And the building.
he's go up, right? So he was,
That's almost like data.
what higher? No, that's not it.
Yeah, it's
Where'd you see that in the memo, Rich?
number one.
We're looking at the right
What are
memo?
you looking at? Wait,
It's from Leo.
Hold
Wrong
on.
memo.
Wrong memo. Sorry.
Oh, there we go.
No, that's.
Basically just says the inspectors, plumbing and electrical inspectors.
Yeah.
There's no calculation on the spreadsheet, right? So we don't, there's just a
No.
number. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's based on.
Here you go.
based on, he said,
That's what that-
average 110 miles a week.
Increase the plumbing. Submit.
Yeah, okay, then I gotta do it per year. Do that math.
So 0.67,
Per mile, 110 miles per week.
you look at the budget.
I guess it's not terrible math to do.
So it looks like the budget is 35 cents, $39 per week, 52 weeks.
Yeah, 39, 52 weeks,
So I got 35 cents if the average was 110 miles per week.
110 miles per week.
That's what he said in this memo.
Yeah. Because if you times that by 52
Like
weeks,
6.7,
and then to 0.67, it would be
should be 74, right?
3,800.
38, 32, right?
Correct.
That's what I, yeah.
Oh, okay, so we're okay then, right?
I think they want that per person. Do you see what I, so they did that, come here. So they did 110 miles, 52 weeks, and then take that and times by the 0.67 for the 38, 32 total. But from Leo's memo, he's saying that that should be per inspector. It's not how I remember
Oh,
it.
so he didn't change it.
Is that because it's a priority, but it wasn't actually reflected? Like, is he
didn't
not?
Put it in the budget that way, I didn't cut it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It
wasn't.
appears that he's still using the old
Yeah,
He wants
amount, but would like to increase it, but
yeah.
It's
I
not-
prefer to just leave it the way it is for now, and then, again, I'll talk to Leo about changing it. It's not that, huge amount of money, but.
No, but we'll bring it up to Leo.
Yeah, it looks like if you go by what he's saying, the priority would be, it would be an additional $1,800 per person if they really are doing $110 a week, using this 0.67. If we used
Yeah.
what Evan was saying, then it would go up
A little more.
a little more. Thank you. I'm like, you're gonna have me do the math at the end.
He just wanted to get.
Roughly 2,000 per person,
Yeah,
we're rounded to
something
4,000.
that hasn't been adjusted in over 15 years.
Yeah, all right.
That's not fair.
Okay.
Are there any other Evan questions?
No, anybody else have any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Did you do that math in your head?
No, I am in the Excel. I start using stats, I can't do it. Bigger numbers are easier.
I'm here with a
Board
calculator.
of
Go
Health.
down.
Board of Health.
Yeah, I was using my phone calculator.
All right, what the hell?
What else?
Okay. That one's up 10,000, 3.3%. Tire lease, COLAs, and no changes in expenses. Looks like, longevity went up on the director's account and on the administrative assistant's account, went up a little bit for longevity. And the rest of it was COLAs.
There is one unfunded request around the nurse to have her 40 hours paid by the town. I'm assuming that's,
Currently being paid by a grant.
Yeah.
yeah, 20 hours is being paid by a grant. There's a
Yeah.
fear of it not being
So,
after.
I,
But I would assume you want to check that after, right?
so we had this conversation and, absolutely, I think we should keep her on, but I think we should bring that grant for all it's worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when
switch it
that
at the
grant lapses,
Yeah, why let the money go away?
very valuable, she's very good
Yeah.
employee, so. I think I don't blame her, I mean, worried about job security, right? You grant,
Any human would,
yeah,
yeah.
her position's funded by a grant, but I did tell her that we're committed to funding that position if the grant doesn't come through.
That's good.
Yeah, her memo also was looking at the car allowance for the animal inspector mileage rate. Or the car allowance in general.
Does she give a amount?
It's
$1,200, $100 a month. It's
Yeah, 100 a month.
Yeah, I don't think they currently get any. Is that right?
Right, I don't think so.
She's looking to get that added.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, it's such small money, it seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll look at both of those car allowances and try to adjust them so that in the future they're out.
Yeah, 371 food inspections. She's
Annually.
driving around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Sewer tie-ins, yeah. 100 sewer tie-ins.
I was looking at the Beaver Dam situation. I was not gonna ask any questions, but
We have in the past.
I find it really interesting how expensive beavers are.
Yeah,
Just my little commentary.
They are
Okay.
expensive. Whenever you see them on the side of the road, you know it's a cost, but yeah.
Okay. Any others you got?
moderator.
Moderator.
That's an easy road.
Approved.
Yeah, I mean, it takes longer to open the Excel than to say approved. I mean,
You're all
it's
set.
nothing.
All right.
Yeah.
Same thing with the finance committee, it's all,
But the finance committee, I had a question, and I don't know if I'm just I was reading it wrong. John, was there an increase by like 70,000 for something? Or was I just looking at it incorrectly on my phone?
On the finance committee or the finance?
Finance committee.
the budget hasn't changed.
No.
So I was looking at the wrong thing, I think.
I think the reserve
Because
fund.
it went from like 1,500 to like 76,000. I was like, what the heck?
You might have been looking at like the expended amount.
Yeah, you're looking at expended in FY '25.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Right, we typically hope not to use that reserve
Yeah.
fund, so hopefully.
It's
we don't
only
expend
used
it.
if we need it.
Yeah.
Okay. And when's the last time we used it?
Are you talking about the reserve account?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna be using it this year, I know that. Probably for HVAC.
Yeah, that and like fire engines and
Okay.
police
Didn't we
cars
have a- didn't we have
sometimes.
Yeah, that's like a relief valve because towns,
Yeah,
you get the 2 times a year that you can do it. I mean, you need to have that account.
Right, didn't we have a sped increase one year that was unexpected? Might have used it, or maybe that didn't,
that was a real exception though,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
it's strange, I did the same thing.
a while ago.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be coming down with the transfer already. We spent some out of that last year too, didn't we?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it was not a large amount, I remember. I think it was tiny, whatever it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll definitely be spending some of that money.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it, that's level funded too.
Okay.
All right.
And then town council, you wanna talk about that one, I know.
You can do the third rail question again.
no,
Okay.
you can.
Well, I guess I'll just totally blow it up because it's almost 9:00, so no one's watching anymore. There seems to be, my concern with the town council budget is it seems like we have not just one, the MBTA Communities Act obviously is a lawsuit that actually exists. But my concern is, given some of the other projects being proposed in town and given some of the sentiment around them, namely the battery
Yeah,
and Astle, are we anticipating town council's services might need to increase at some point in the near future?
well, I think right now they haven't because, well, all of our contracts are settled. So we'll be entering into negotiations next spring. And then, we've been, knock on wood, haven't been dealing with a lot of personnel issues.
Okay,
And then in terms of battery storage, ultimately, that is expected to be paid for through the HCA. So all those legal costs would be paid for,
okay,
even Kevin Feely's legal costs. So we have Jeff Bernstein, who's very good. He's the legal counsel for the battery energy storage. We pay his expenses, but anything that Kevin incurs, because he has incurred some for the battery energy storage, we could charge off to that money as well. So that shouldn't affect the legal account,
okay,
battery energy storage. But MBTA communities, there is going to be some effect between now and the end of the year. But I think that the budget will be okay because we haven't had a lot of legal costs in this current budget. So I think that's good. So
okay.
if we have to make an amendment, we won't even know until next fall what that would be because right now the activity doesn't really justify it. In fact, we expended $93,000 last year. We've been budgeting $125. The year before that, we spent $85. So that's why I knocked it down to 100 because we've been in that range, and frankly, because I wanted to get the budget down a little bit to make everything work. But right now, I think that's okay. But that could change next fall. But I don't think it'll change by June.
Okay, okay.
I mean, those are the kinds of things you can use free cash for, one-time expenditures, right?
We use,
Yeah.
for one-time
Expected
expenses.
expense? Yeah, we've done that in the past.
Exactly.
What, for legal, you mean?
I think we did once, but.
During the casinos. My first year as finance committee chair.
Unexpected thing
Yeah.
that went up, we've covered with the free cash.
Yeah.
I think we'll be okay with that. And then, I guess we can do you want to do
Do town hall.
town hall?
The last one.
Is that the last one?
Yeah. Jan's gonna come on the 23rd to do the COA budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do that one.
It's not
It's
that
in
we're all set.
you have to go to 27 town facilities and grounds.
Oh, facility.
Yeah.
Town hall.
There was no memo on it, and it's really flat.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Oh, yeah, see, it's, yes, yeah, it's really flat, so, nothing, no changes in operating.
Yeah.
243, then personnel, it's just the custodian.
Yeah.
We just included the COLA, I believe, 2.32%.
That's it.
Yeah, that was it. Which is, she is still out, this person is still out.
So,
We've been paying a service to clean this building since then, but we're trying to resolve that. Since I don't know if
Disability?
I've ever met her,
Is it disability or something?
some type of disability, yeah. But I mean, we gotta get her to cut bait if she's not gonna come back. So, yeah, so that account is very, very flat. Town hall. Very boring budget this year.
I'll take boring.
That would.
yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
so we're pushing for closure on that?
Yes, yeah. Teresa's working on that, but it's just, I don't think we're really losing any money because we're paid. As I think she's, not workers' comp. In fact, I don't think she's being paid right now, at all. So I don't think we're losing any money at all on that one. But I'd like to get it resolved because I'd like to get the town hall. It's funny, custodial positions are difficult because it's hard to find a really good custodian. It's also really hard to find a good cleaning service. So you gotta try to get the right custodian in place. Then it's worth its weight in gold, but
Seems like a good retiree position.
it is. But you gotta find the right one, that is willing to do the work, and it's kind of a crapshoot trying to get one.
Okay, anybody have any questions on this budget? No?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, I think that's all we have for tonight.
Just a couple of meeting minutes, right?
Yep, we have left for Economic Development. Did they meet?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
How did they-
Yep.
how'd the last meeting go?
We finally we had a quorum. We had a meeting in September, and then we had 2 missed meetings for lack of quorum. And then we had a meeting last week. We continue to discuss a mission statement that hasn't been finalized, but there is hope that there will be some type of
Thanks.
mission statement. We're also
Like
discussing.
bring money in the town so we don't have to do cuts in 2 years.
I think the concern, it seems that there are 2 camps on the committee. One is that there's really not a purpose for the committee because we have town staff doing the same work as the original intent of the committee. And then kind of I think the majority of the committee is saying, well, then let's like expand our mission, and that's why it kind of keeps going back and forth. We keep having kind of very similar discussions of, this was the intent when the committee was formulated years ago, and what do we want the committee to be now? So there is a new kind of draft mission statement being circulated now to hopefully be discussed at the next meeting with comments. One of the other things that they're working on, or that we're working on, is a short resident survey that I think they would actually like to try to implement for the town meeting, to see if they can get people to scan a QR code and do it. I don't know how realistic that will be. And also to work with Alex and the chambers to do a local business, again, maybe a little bit longer, not as short of a survey, to see, and we're formulating those questions for the next meeting to discuss. And I think they were actually going to be inviting Alex and the town manager and the assistant town manager to get feedback for the draft mission statement, as well as the ideas around the surveys, because I think that will help guide what.
I like the idea of a survey, but if it's just at town meeting, it's not going to.
No, I think that was going to be kind of the kickoff, would be a town meeting, and then it would be opened up. They're trying to figure out a way to make it as easy as possible so that it will hit more demographics within the town and not just kind of one pocket. Because if you ask certain populations, we need more restaurants, you ask other, you know what I mean?
I think
So-
there's a real philosophical problem in this town that too many people say we're a bedroom community, and they oppose all real economic development from a commercial perspective
Yeah.
that gives us the growth to not make cuts.
Well, and that was.
Every major, I've been here over 20 years, and every major commercial innovation has been vehemently opposed by, I would think, a vocal minority.
Yep. Well, and I think that was one of the discussions at last week's meeting, is the purpose of the Economic Development Committee, the assumption is the purpose of the Economic Development Committee is to promote more development in town. However, how do we do that?
And then it's
How
the
do you
same
have those-
crew that comes to town meeting to say, you're taxing me too much
Well,
on my bedroom.
how do
Even
you-
though I'm saying all I can give you is a bedroom, that's all I want.
Yeah, I think so the example, because it's the obvious example, is when we have a proposed development, a proposed business that would generate over $2 million in revenue, as the committee, how do we factor in the revenue component with what people are saying would be other concerns around it? Like, where does our role end? And basically, we don't have any authority to actually effectuate a change,
No.
so I think it's a difficult discussion, because we don't have kind of guidance at this point. So I think that's where hopefully the conversation is heading, is what is the role and how do you weigh the
Personally, I'd
different
like to see it be the
factors.
voice of the broader community, not the narrow majority that only comes to town meeting.
Yeah, well, and I know, John, you had referenced at one of the select board meetings, like 3 or 4 select board meetings ago, that there was the possibility of like a task force for the Wamisit area about
Yeah.
safety concerns and things like that. And one of the things I brought up to the Economic Development Committee is, should that be something, instead of creating kind of a separate task force or subcommittee, shouldn't that be something that perhaps the Economic Development Committee is already kind of able to do? You have these
Yeah.
citizens who are on this committee to promote economic development, which you would assume would also be, what are the concerns that keep more businesses from coming
Exactly.
in? And should that be the right avenue? And it's all great conversation, there just hasn't been any determinations
Yeah.
made by the committee itself. So I'm hoping, we have 2 members of the select board on that committee. So the hope would be, between the select board and town leadership, there would be some decision made this year, whether it's that the committee should be shelved, or that the committee should actually have a purpose that is something that's current to what the town needs.
Unless we call ourselves beyond a bedroom community, the 80% of the funding you get is always going to be on our homes,
Yeah.
always.
No, absolutely. And I think you know, hopefully the public is going to be paying attention. You know, John said something very, if you look at our projected budget,
Yeah.
we're in big trouble in the
Yeah.
next 6 years. And that's not something that the residents, the homeowners are going to be able to carry. So we really have to have an honest evaluation and discussion about how do we want Tewksbury to look in 2032? And hopefully it's not that we're running at a $20 million deficit.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, so we are, the answer to your question before the soapbox, and I got on it.
What was the
is-
question?
Yeah, we are meeting, they are having regular meetings, they're trying to meet, until we have a mission and until we get the survey launched, I think they are trying to do monthly meetings. I think after that kind of occurs, they would be willing to meet a little bit less, but the other problem is we've been attempting to meet and we don't get a quorum. So, you know, this past week was the first time that we had a comfortable quorum, and it was a great discussion and a great plan, and hopefully there will be activity between now and the next meeting so that we can continue to have good discussions. But
Good.
yeah, thank you for adding that to the agenda. I forgot that that's probably something you guys would want to know since I represent you guys there.
I'm just happy you're on it.
Oh, God. Well, that makes one of us. Jason, of course, is not here for me to thank once again.
Okay, so we do have 3 sets of minutes
Sorry, the delay of minutes.
from the September 15th, September 29th, and October 7th of last year.
Move to adopt.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well, unanimous vote. Now,
We didn't have any timesheets, though?
no,
We
we,
didn't put it in yet?
I guess not.
All right, there's always next meeting.
I was gonna say, next Monday. Are we here next week? No, the 23rd. No, we're here next week. We're here next week, and then the
Yeah.
23rd.
Then the week after that is
Yep.
a holiday.
Okay.
Yep,
When do we do
next
Council on Aging too?
The
Yeah,
23rd.
23rd.
23rd, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
do you hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote. We have adjourned.
Sorry, seconded?